Hello everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. Hi everyone, the review you're about to watch was recorded like a month ago. I just got around to editing it now because I put it in a postponement, because when I originally recorded it, I did not plan on doing a giant bulk of live CDs. And when I didn't make that decision, I had to do a bunch of shuffling for it and move it around and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy this review for Alice in Chains Unplugged. Hey there, everyone. Never did I think I was really going to get to the point where I ended up covering Alice in Chains Unplugged. Alright, if you're one of my regular viewers, you already know how I feel about Alice in Chains. If you're not one of my regular viewers, I'll give you a quick recap. I hate the drone of Alice in Chains. Now, I'm over-exaggerating, okay? But the guitars drone like that, the vocals drone like that. It's just a lot of drone, man. It just drones on. Okay, I've made my point. This is how I feel about Alice in Chains, okay? Now, that being said, I personally went out and bought the Black Gives Way to Blue album when it came out. Is that the name of it? I think, yeah. I can't listen to it in a giant go, but I do not mind the album. I have been given this one, and I have been given the last one I covered, which I think was Alice in Chains. Pretty sure. Okay, what I will say is I definitely like the guitar work better on the Unplugged. Taking the drone out of the guitars is really kind of cool to a degree. It does also allow me to appreciate and kind of accept what it really is about Alice in Chains I don't like versus what it is I do like, stuff like that. Alice in Chains, I hate to say it, I find them very kind of just dry and boring for the most part. And when I start talking about the songs on here that I like versus the ones I don't like, you'll kind of understand what I mean by dry and boring. And I don't mean that they're actually dry and boring. I mean that it's kind of just dull and drags on for me in a lot of songs. Or it's just kind of, it sounds like me and my buddies when we were, in high school screwing around in the basement on acoustic guitars. But, we were just that. It was like kind of screwing around. It was like kind of discovering a sound. And we were doing it before 96. So, yeah, it was before this even came out. So that's kind of why. It just, to me, there's nothing special about it. Okay. That's enough of that. That's the background going into this. I'm going to kind of go through this kind of quick. So the album opens up with Nutshell. Horrible choice to open it up with. That's that dry and boring thing I was talking about. Then it goes into Brother. Another one of those dry and boring things I was talking about. No Excuses. Now I kind of like this one. This one's got a little more vibrance to it, a little more life to it. And I actually kind of... I know this was one of the ones that got played a lot. Specifically, this version got played a lot. So I'm kind of tired of hearing it for that reason. But at the same time, I really kind of almost think this is the one they should have opened up the album with, or the set with, because it would have opened the set with so much more energy and vibrance to it. Sludge Factory. Okay. So I do remember having some issues and talking about this one a little bit when I did my review for this one off of the actual album it came from originally. And I will say that I believe I actually enjoy the Unplugged version better. But still kind of, whatever. Now, Down in a Hole... still really kind of down and depressing. Like, oh my God, someone really should have got these guys off of heroin and put them onto the coke, man. Seriously. coke or some type of amphetamine, something, man, because it was. I don't care. If you're depressed, the last thing you should be doing is fucking taking heroin, okay, man? Like, seriously, stay away from the fucking opiates if you were depressed, because it only amplifies it. Now, Down in a Hole isn't a bad song. It's a really good tune. If Down in a Hole was one of their few slower, kind of more depressing kind of songs, then I'd have so much love and respect for this band. But Down in a Hole is one of the happier of the depressing, sad songs, and there's way too many of them. Um, Angry Chair is one of those songs that I've kind of always just ignored since day one. I know it's a huge one. I know everybody loves it, but I've ignored it since day one. You know, like I've honestly got this point in my brain where I think it just blanks it out now because I don't even remember listening to it on here when it was running through. Rooster, okay. I'm gonna say I actually like the unplugged version better of Rooster, and I think it's because there is more of a passion and an energy to it that aligns better with the song. Um, like when you look at the lyrical content of Rooster and you get into all that stuff, when you're listening to this on this version, you can almost picture the band sitting under a bridge, you know, a bunch of, I hate to say it, you know, like a homeless encampment under a bridge kind of thing, you know, the guys around a fire bin, stuff like that. The couple guys that actually have their instruments, cherish their instruments, you know, you fuck with those instruments, they'll kill you kind of thing. Kind of that classic kind of thing going on there, and you just kind of hear these guys singing this song, you know, old folk style, or you know, even if you want to go back further than that because it is acoustic, you know, go back to the days of the guys hopping trains, you know. I don't want to say hobos riding rail cars, but I'm going to say hobos riding rail cars that have their guitars with them, you know, romanticize it, right? You know, Rooster's one of those songs on here that really has that vibe and energy to it, and I really, really dig it. Okay, I mean, on this version, it just there's something about it. It's a shame that they didn't actually do a version like that. You know, a proper full-on version like that. That's just kind of what it would have been for me. You know, if another band were to do it, that's how I would do the music video for them in this day and age. Give it that persona. Got me wrong. Um, yeah, whatever. Heaven Beside You. Okay, so if I had to pick a song for quite possibly my favorite Alice in Chains song, I don't know if this would make it number one. It would definitely be in the top five for sure. It would probably be the top three, and it's specifically this version. I do actually really dig the unplugged album version of Heaven Beside You. Really works for me. Um, and there's just something up and warm about it. I like it. It is the one song off of this album I would definitely put into a mix. Realistically, I might use the version of Rooster off here. If I was putting together an acoustic mix, I'd put Rooster on there. Um, After Heaven Beside You, we get to Wood. I'm not a fan of Wood. I get why people like it. It's just not one for me. Frogs. I've already discussed this one and how I feel about it. This version really doesn't change my opinion much. Over Now. This is honestly, I think they should have ended as cliche as it would have been. This is how they should have ended the show or the album. I don't know if they remixed the order or not from what the actual live show was to this or not. Because the album finished off with Killer Is Me, and I think Over Now would have been better. Not because it's cliche, but Over Now is a better song. Over Now is one of the. All right. Based on this being released in '96, I believe this would have covered most of their repertoire at this point. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe there's one album I'm missing. I know that Lane Stanley didn't die until like what 2000, I think it was. I could be wrong on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so I don't know how many albums are not on this or not. I'm not once again. I'm not a big Alice in Chains fan. But you know, no excuse. Okay, so no excuses. Down in a hole. Rooster, Heaven Beside You, Over Now. Those five songs. That's for me, that's this album, and they're the only songs on this album that I would go out of my way to listen to. Um, I would put all of those into acoustic mixes. Like if I was putting together an acoustic mixtape, I could grab one of those songs and put it into an acoustic mixtape of various artists, and I'd be okay with that. It's cool. Uh, and it honestly comes down to I'm just not a fan of Alice in Chains. And nothing against Alice in Chains. Once again, wonderful musicians, very talented. The combination of Jerry Cantrell and Lane Stanley with the vocals there, they I love the way that they harmonize and stuff like that. But it's the way they sing it, the way they just kind of drone on and on. It drives me absolutely nuts. I don't mind it. They're like I've mentioned before, the former vocalist for the Howling Odyssey, the former lead vocalist Jay. Uh, he could sing like Alice in Chains, like there was no tomorrow. Like Lane Stanley, he had a great voice. Always said, not specifically like Lane. It was almost like a great combo of Lane and Jerry kind of mixed together the way he would sing. And it was really great. And, there were times we'd really encourage him to try and sing more like that because it was a really good sound and it worked for the songs that we were encouraging it on. So I have nothing against it. It's just it gets too much after a while. And Jay could sing other styles in other ways. He didn't always have to drone on, but that was his go-to because he was a huge grunge guy, man. Back when grunge came out, man, he was a huge grunge guy. Him. Okay, so shout out to the crew from back in the day. So this would be Jay Robson, Eric Boblik, Pete Varga, I think Lisa Hunt. Okay, that was the core group of people I was hanging out with. Shout out to all those people. And that was during the birth of grunge, man. Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, you name it. Those were the bands, and Eric and Jay really, really huge into them. Um, Pete Varga, he just kind of was his own little thing. He got into a bunch of other stuff. He got into a lot of Canadian stuff, actually. I got to say that. And as much as I hated it at the time, I really was against it. He's the one that kind of got me into punk. Um, my grunge listening would definitely be because of Jay. Eric kind of had a little bit of everything in him, but he got really heavy into that. Pantera, I remember when freaking Pantera Far Beyond Dreaming came out. Anyways, where I'm going with that is, that group of people I was hanging out with, lots of grunge listening and whatnot, and it's one of the reasons why I listen to so much of it. And I learned really early on, I'm just not that big of a fan. Same Nirvana, a few choice songs. Alice in Chains, when it's in a mix, it's fine, but listening to a whole album at a time is really difficult for me. Soundgarden, I really have a lot of respect for Chris Cornell, man. He was a great musician and writer, but his voice, man, was never a fan of it. When he's doing backups and stuff like that, cool. But anyways, so in the great pantheon of all that is grunge or from the grunge period, stuff like that, uh, would I recommend this album? Okay. If you're into grunge, sure. If you're into Alice in Chains, definitely. If you're looking to discover Alice in Chains, this is a great spot to start to discover Alice in Chains. Honestly, if you can pick up a good used copy of it, definitely check it out. If you have to pay for it brand new, then maybe be a fan of Alice in Chains first. I don't want you to buy this brand new and then be like, what the fuck when you go and pick up an actual Alice in Chains album. But those are my thoughts, folks, my views, my opinions. Let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. On your way down to the comment section, you'll see 3 links. One goes to the TWA, that is the Trampoline Wrestling Association. Check it out. It is exploding. It is taking off. It is doing something special. It is going global. I'm slightly over exaggerating, but I'm not over exaggerating at the same time. Anyways, get in on it now while you can, while it's early. Well, you can say you were there in the beginning. Season 2, if it isn't already dropped, will be dropping shortly. There's a link to the Howling Odyssey. That's where all my music endeavors go. There's a link to Patreon. That's where you can go to throw some money my way. Subscribe. You can download my music. Other stuff will be coming eventually on there. TWA's got me real busy right now. There's a like button, a subscribe button, a bell for notifications. If you could hit those, I would be much obliged. Peace, love, take care.